Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How is it going? For those of you who are looking for the spot to talk about retirement savings, you are indeed in the correct place. And if after this, if you'd like to join the community, we'll tell you how, but don't worry about it now. Just enjoy this episode, see what you think, okay? So I want to start this the way I always do. I want to ask you, how are you doing? How are you faring? How is it going? You know, it's challenging times for everybody, and it's possible you're struggling or stressed with something. And I just want to honor that, and I just want to ask how you're doing. If it's anything you want to share with this community, feel free to reach out. We would, it isn't about giving advice or anything like that, but sometimes just a different perspective or just somebody showing that they care. It is really what we need, what we're looking for. So I just want to throw that out there and just know that we are wishing for your success, for, all good things to come your way, and just wishing the best for you. Okay? So, Father's Day was last week, and I want to first of all just say a belated happy Father's Day to all you guys out there, you dads, you granddads, you uncles, brothers, family friend, anybody who's helping children who need it. And for you ladies who are potentially doing double duty, we salute you. So thank you for all you do. All right. And I kind of want to focus on a conversation that I had with my uncle because my dad died when my sisters and I were very young. And my uncle kind of stepped into the void, and we are so grateful to him. His love, his support, his wisdom, it's just been wonderful, and it's helped me to be a better person. He came into my life when I was maybe 12, something like that, and just so grateful, thankful to have him. So for Father's Day, I sent him a card, which I always do, and I sent him a text message as well. And he called me a short time later. He goes, you always remember. I said, of course, I love you. I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And he says, well, back at you, because it's wonderful that I always remember him and think of him through everything, whether it be Father's Day, his birthday, the holidays. I always keep in touch because I just want people to know they are appreciated. That is my thing. So I always wanted to do that. And so then we started talking. He started talking about the dad things, right? And again, I'm so grateful for that because I didn't grow up with people asking me or telling me about money and just different things like that. So his perspective has just been super helpful. We didn't really do this sort of thing when I was young, but we were talking about money and finances now. And he says, when are you thinking about retiring? And I told him, years down the road when I anticipate it happening. Then he started to ask me, what's your plan for money in retirement? And so I told him what my potential Social Security is going to be. I told him what my current pension is. I have a small pension from a former employer, so I have that. And I'm putting money away in my 401k. And I gave him the amounts. And when I was talking about the 401k, I said I anticipate a 4% withdrawal rate, and gave him all the numbers. He says, that's actually pretty good. And I'm going to stop myself for just a second. We'll get back to the story in a minute. But knowing what I was potentially going to be taking from my 401k, it is important because you read about people asking, okay, they say I have $1.3 million. Is that enough to retire? Wrong question. Okay. What you need to figure out first, how much will you be spending in retirement? And the only way to get an idea of that is, noting your expenses. Y'all know this if you've been with me for a while, right? So that top line is what you are bringing in on a monthly basis, and that should include your 401k. So it is your net there. And then the next thing is, of course, pay yourself first. Don't ever forget to do that. You are as important as your bills. And then your monthly expenses. And figure out what your monthly expenses are and just know. So let me ask you a question. Are your expenses going to go up or down in retirement? If you tell me down, I'm going to say, look again. Because expenses go up, don't they? Does your heat bill stay the same? The light, your taxes, none of that stays the same. So you need to plan on those expenses going up and just make sure to plan for it. So then you have an idea then, this is what you're spending per month. Okay, what are you bringing in? So that 1.3 mil, if you were to take a 4% draw on that money, how much are you going to get? And then that lets you know, do you have enough for retirement? So those different things, just know to do that. That's what we're talking about when I say, how much are you planning to draw from your account? And conventional wisdom says 4%. And, I told you in an earlier show that there was a time I was earning about 9% on my 401k. Then it kind of lost some steam, and then I was down to 5%. So if I take 4%, what I'm doing is I am spending the interest. Okay, so the annual interest. So if I'm getting on my money 5%, but I'm only taking 4%, then I am not touching the principal. Because if you leave the principal alone, it keeps growing, it keeps creating income for you. So just know your numbers. We'll talk more on different shows, but just kind of throwing that out there. So back to my uncle and our conversation. So I told him how much I expect to get in Social Security. I told him how much I am getting in my small pension and how much I plan to draw from my 401k. And so he says, that's pretty good. Because he says many people don't even have that. And don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. He has just talked to different people and knows that they hadn't done the work to plan for their post-work lives. And so just, keep that in mind. That's why we do these shows, and we'll talk about that later. Don't worry about it. But just know your numbers. So he said, that's actually pretty good. And here was the kicker, what he threw out to me. He says, what are you doing about long-term care? And I know about it. I have been looking into it for years. I know I had a job a decade, 15 years ago, something like that offered it, but I didn't avail myself of it. Had I started it back then I would always have had it, because they might not have offered it to new subscribers, but if you had it, then you could keep it. So looking at long-term care, the cost was prohibitive. It's like I could not possibly afford it. There's just no way I could. So he said, yep, that a lot of people are running into that. And he says, well, whatever you do, try to stay in your home as long as you possibly can, because it is cheaper when you become elderly to stay in your own home and have somebody come in and help you with whatever, whether it be cleaning, whether it be cooking, medical care. It is cheaper to have somebody come in than to move into an assisted living sort of a situation, which we had already looked into that because my mother-in-law went into assisted living. So we had an idea of what that looked like, how much it cost, and depending on the level of care that you require, that's what determines the monthly expense. So just all these things. So we talked about that because, again, that dad conversation, and I'm so grateful to him because, like I said, we didn't have money conversations when my sisters and I were growing up. So we're doing it now, and I'm learning all I can. I'm just glad that 25 years ago, I decided to pay more attention to my post-work life and my post-work savings to make sure that I can meet my own needs in retirement. So, just all those different things. And, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time figuring that out, but at least pay some attention to it. Listen to these podcasts and just, hopefully it can help you, because I started these because I could never find anybody who could talk to me. There's lots of money managers out there, lots of multi-million dollar money managers out there, and there's nothing wrong with money. Good on you. If you got it, great. But when they start talking to me like I have $1, 2, $3 million, and this is what you need to do with it, that's where it lost me, because I don't have that kind of money. There aren't too many people willing to talk to me. And so, all I can do is what I can do. I have run into a lot of problems over the years, and I just had to figure a way through it. And so, that's pretty much what we all have to do. Now, speaking of expenses, we had our list here, and I have, as part of my expenses, what I'm paying to pay down my student loan. And people have said to me, why are you doing that? Why are you giving up your federal student loan? Because there are some advantages with it, except for now there are so many changes. There's so many things I can't rely on, I can't depend on. There was a certain point where you knew how long you had to pay on that loan, how much you had to pay on it, even if you couldn't pay the whole amount, when that loan might at some point be discharged and you get out from under it. Well, that, as I said, just keeps moving. And so I'm like, okay, I'm done. So I started looking around, and there were two companies that I was looking at to refinance my loan, private loans. So that's okay, I'll be fine with it. So I wound up with SoFi, and I got a really excellent rate. And the reason why that mattered to me is because with the federal loans, I was paying 7% interest. That is a lot on a student loan. And so I'm paying all this money toward interest that could have gone to principal to knock the balance down. But instead, when you're paying all that principal, you are making the investors wealthy. That's just how it works. The interest goes to them, and it doesn't help lower the balance of your student loans. So that I looked into that, and I struggled with whether or not I wanted to leave the federal system. But with an interest rate about half of what I was paying for the federal loans, all that extra money goes to pay down my principal, which means my debt goes down faster. So, when we're looking at ways to save money, to better take care of our needs, look into that. Because some of you may have debt on your credit cards. What's the interest rate you're paying on that? It is important to know those numbers. Because, I think I have a card that might be 25% interest. Well, they can charge whatever they want. It does not matter to me, because I pay it off every single month. I do not leave a balance, so I don't have to worry about that. So that is super helpful for me. Just all these things we have to do to take care of ourselves. Just, and if you have questions, reach out to this community. We're happy to share with you what we've learned over the years. And so that's what this is. I can tell you what I've learned, and I want to hear from you. This is give and take. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. Remember, I am not a CPA. I'm not a money manager. I am just a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks, and that's where I got my education. So I'm sharing from that perspective. So now with that, because we like to keep these in the 15-minute range for you. We know you're busy. You want to get some information. Now you need to go on about your business, right? Yes, of course. So at the very beginning, for those of you not currently a member, we'd love to have you. You see where it says subscribe. You just click that, follow the prompt. It's going to ask you some questions. And what will happen? So first of all, these are completely free. I will never charge for any of this content, because like I said, I'm just sharing what I learned that I wish somebody had done the same years ago for me. I might be in a better place, who knows? but it would have been nice. And so that's why I'm doing these. So completely free. So when I produce these segments, they will come directly into your email and you can read them, or I guess you wouldn't read them. You're watching them, right? Watch them, listen to them, whatever works for you. And might I suggest you share these with someone who you know, because most people are struggling with something, right? So just send it, help them out, because there's many things about money that I just simply didn't learn. And excuse me, I'm guessing the same is true for many of you. So share it with somebody else. And then you can keep these, file them away, come back to them. If there's something that really struck a nerve for you, go back and listen to it. So this is what I'm hoping you will do. Avail yourself of this information, okay? And with that, I thank you so much for joining me for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. And please, whatever you do, be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Please, we are all we have. And let's just look out for each other, all right? Because, you know, again, we're it. We got to take care of each other. So with that, you take care. See you next time, okay? Bye.